Good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the Nasdaq 100 for Monday, June 20th, 2022. Friday's expiration was actually pretty smooth and within all parameters for the market. It did actually allow me to put in the labeling for the completion point for minute wave 3. So again, excuse me, starting on the daily chart, I continue to count what I believe could be the finishing stages for a minor fifth wave, and then on top of that, an intermediate C wave decline. That in combination, if the lower levels hold, and we do actually complete this 5, making this count, of course, the preferred count, it would also complete a primary A wave. So I will be putting on the additional Fibonacci's to show additional downside, but right now it does appear that we are putting in a minute fourth wave. So again, no real changes other than we put in the completion point for minute 3 in a minute 4, and now we are moving in to a minute fourth wave correction. And so within that, it really does appear that we did complete it on Thursday's low at 11,067, I believe it was, or 68.25, somewhere in there. And then out of that, we probably have a B, and then a 1, 2, and this is a third. But this is all pretty, while the slope is nice, it's very weak. We get to certain levels and the market's like, no, I'm not buying it up there. I'm not going to force it up. I'm not going to push it higher. But let's go over it anyway. If we're in that minute 4, what is the potential here? The potential is that it's going to continue and possibly get up as high as 11,750. That's the retracement. That's a 382 retracement of the third wave, most common. But in the way ahead of that is the hourly 200, 11,671. And that is actually where I think that the market will likely find some much stronger resistance and fail, and then, or complete this minute 4 and then turn lower again. Thus far, though, we're truly being held below Friday's high, I believe. Yep, Friday's closing highs, which was, let me just do this. Come on, come on. Isn't this fun? Silly computers. At 11,437. That's the high from yesterday. So that stays in place, and we've not gotten above it. We're getting close, but we haven't gotten above it. We need to. Then again, we have an additional resistance at 11,489, 490. And basically at 11,500. There's going to be some pretty stiff resistance there, but if it pushes above, we actually can go an additional 170 points up to 11,671.72 into that area, which is where the hourly 200 is. So we have resistance. It still will be a fourth wave, and then we will turn lower. Now, the weakness is also evidence on the weekly chart. Let me just quickly go over that. We saw that last week we broke and closed well below the weekly 200 moving average. That weekly 200 moving average now sits at 11,745. And we've closed well below it. And now we're just doing a bounce. That is weakness off of a weekly chart, not a good picture. It does suggest that we will continue excuse me, we will continue to move lower. Now, I'm going to take this Fibonacci retracements off. I'm going to go back down to the daily. Let's put on the Fibonacci for the fifth wave. And then go to here, to here, to here. And we have, let me just make sure these are correct. No, I got to make this. Let me correct this real quickly for us. This. I have is 13,005, and it's actually 586.25. Oops, 25. And this midpoint is going to be 11,528. Oops, 528. And then the beginning point was this high at 14,319.75. Boy, I really kind of built all that up, didn't I? Okay, so come on. Now, what can we start looking for wave 5? Well, boy, we can really start doing some drops here, folks. Wave 5 would be equal to 0.618 of wave 3 at 98.60. If wave 5 is going to come in as long as wave 3, we're talking about 87.94. So we've still got a strong minute fifth wave down. Now, of course, basically we start, we're going to be counting, looking for a 5-way structure down. So the support really is 11,927, 10,520, 10,190, 98.60. And then the zone starts to kind of fill in right there. We can get as low as 93, but ultimately we could drop to 87.94 or below. So we're not out of the woods. And we still have an additional parallel count that I'm using that would suggest that this is -1, this is -2, and we're dropping in that minor third wave. And if that's the case, these numbers are real. These numbers would be the ones that come into play. Right now, I'm not suspecting that, as there is a similar level in the S&P where we may get a market low and produce a more solid bounce. Now, just one more Fibonacci that I want to add, and that's just to run, and this is not necessarily going to be anything strong, but I will tell you, a lot of firms are going to be using it. A lot of traders are looking at it, and that makes it more important. Let me just edit this. This is 16,068. And I'm just going to leave it at 68. And this is 6603. And I want to make sure what that low was. Let me just double check. 6628, 75. All right. So it pulls it up a little bit. That we're looking at, we're surpassing that 50% level. Next up would be, and this is just on the retracement of this rally off of the March 2020 lows to the all-time highs. That's we're looking for support, Fibonacci support, and the retracement is if this is just going to be the A wave, and then we're looking for a B wave. So an A wave can come down. We've got right at 10,500. So we got a little bit of a cluster there. And then we have another cluster right here, 9,600. Got a 0.75 and a 70.5 and two levels. And they're both coming in at the same area. So interesting that is lining up perfectly. So we have 10,500 and then 96.20 in that area. And then again, that 87.94 down below. So things could turn ugly, but for tomorrow, and I actually am not thinking that we're going to extend this out real far. Not sure what that is. I'm going to remove that one. And yeah, I'm not really sure what it's going to be the kicker to take this in. I don't know. I'd have to check tomorrow morning and see what figures, if anything, we get for tomorrow. But there's plenty of things out there that can turn this market lower. But for tomorrow, I am continuing to look for this fourth wave to continue higher. It needs to break again above that 11,437. We have resistance at 11,671 to 11,698. That's not going to be as strong. In fact, it has no validity to the correction. So let me get rid of that one again and go into what we're looking at. And that is from here to here. So we have 14,096. That's very minimal, but yeah, it's got to at least get somewhere. And then we have 11,671, which is the hourly 200, and 11,757, which is 0.382, which is very common. And then on top of that, we have the fourth wave of one lesser degree sitting right there, also at that 11,775 area. So 57 to 75 would be optimal in terms of fulfilling Fibonacci. But we also have strength from resistance coming in at the 200. And just the fact that the weekly chart is presenting a weaker picture than the other charts right now. So this is giving more credence to that this is just a bounce. So it's going to run out of steam pretty quick. And once people do that and we start to fall again, I think then it just will convert straight into the next sequence lower. So I'm going to complete it for right now. Our moving averages on the hourly continue to be all, for the most part, bunched up right here. I just love my computer. It always decides it's just going to be junky. You see, we got the 4, the 8, the 20, and the 50. But guess what? See, they're nicely in alignment to go up. And then we have the 200 sitting as on the 30-minute as resistance right now. It's not being able to get back above it. And so it's sitting right there. But we did just actually kind of, somebody came in and decided got to have it, and they just popped it up a little bit. So we may be on our way. But those are in alignment. The daily are reversed. They're in alignment basically to go down. We're getting an uptick on the 4. Excuse me. We've not gone up to the daily 8. So moving averages are still fairly negative there. And we already know the story on the weekly, that it broke and everything else is still in alignment to go down. In fact, the 4 has decided to cross over the 200 on the weekly chart. So again, adding to a stronger downside picture. So cannot walk away from that and say it's not going to happen. So keep it in the back of our minds. Have a great trading day tomorrow. The next update will be on Tuesday, the 21st.